Every morning, a familiar routine unfolds. The young boy makes his way through the school grounds, his heart filled with anticipation. There's one person he's always dying to see, the highlight of his day. And that person is. But before we find that out, we finally are informed that the main character's name is Taiki Inomata, a third-year junior high student on the badminton team. We then suddenly cut to Taiki getting hit in the face with a basketball. The cute girl, alarmed at the accident, then asks, "Are you all right?" Taiki, with a small smile, says, trying to be a nonchalant dreadhead, "I'm fine." The cute girl, who is most definitely Taiki's crush, says apologetically, "I was practicing my elbow passes. I'm so sorry." The cute girl then leans forward and asks to look at his injury and sympathetically says how that must hurt from the redness appearing from his forehead. Taiki drops the nonchalant dreadhead act and, obviously flustered by the sight of his crush, frantically gains some space and reassures her that he's fine, trying to salvage any aura he might have lost in the interaction. As a token of her apology, his crush, Chinatsu Senpai, takes a candy out of her pocket and hands it to Taiki. "Here, have this. Think you can forgive me?" Cut to Taiki, looking at the candy, then back at the student with a smile, thinking he dropped game. He's Delulu. He thinks to himself, she pulled a candy out of her pocket. And then proceeds to answer her by saying, "Of course I'll forgive you." Cut to an interior shot of the school gymnasium. Taiki thinks to himself whilst preparing for practice, "After retiring from club activities in junior high, I've been inviting myself over to practice with the high school's badminton team." He continues his monologue but focuses on his crush this time when he says, "There's open practice in the mornings, and I try to show up earlier than anybody else, but the first one to arrive is always Chinatsu Senpai from the girls' basketball team." Cut to Chinatsu practicing her shots. Taiki thinks to himself after seeing this, in the still chilly gymnasium, she practices her shots over and over. Taiki, in his thoughts, affirms his reasons of why he loves Chinatsu Senpai. He then verbally, with a grin on his face, expresses how he'd like to marry her. We are then introduced to another character, Kyo Kasahara, Taiki's brutally honest friend, who denies the possibility of him ever dating her, never mind marrying. Kyo, with no remorse, completely explains to Taiki the differences in social and athletic standings between the two, as Chinatsu Senpai is a future MVP and is incredibly popular in school, and out as well, while other hand Taiki is only average at his sport and largely unknown to most. Kyo then continues to bring the harsh reality of the situation to Taiki, telling him how, besides their training schedules, they practically have nothing in common. Taiki butts in about how his mother was an alumni of the basketball team, which Kyo doesn't pay much mind to, and continues to tell Taiki the truth, hoping he might come to his senses. But then, suddenly Taiki, being very optimistic, drops an MJ-like quote about rizzing girls. And then suddenly a cute girl pranks Taiki. He shouts at her because he didn't appreciate it. The author then reveals the girl's name as Hina Chono from the rhythmic gymnastics team. Taiki insults her by calling her antics to that of a grade schooler's, to which she retorts that she will be in high school this spring with the both of them. The arguments continue between the two, as Kyo describes them as both being grade schoolers. Hina then changes the subject as she sees Taiki's expression change. Taiki then asks her, for a friend, about what sort of things do girls like guys to do for them. To which Hina teases Taiki by saying, "No way! Don't tell me you've got love problems." Her first piece of enthusiastic advice was to not be a beta, but to be a sigma. And if you're a sigma, let me know in the comments. Her last piece of advice leaves both Kyo and Taiki thinking that she's cooked. The scene changes. It's a new day, and Taiki is walking to the gym for some early practice. On his way there, he thinks about how he should just ask Hina to just put my fries in the bag, bro, whenever it comes to relationship advice. He then notices something in the corner of his eye and looks up.